You're watching Meet the Movie Press, and coming up, we're going to be talking about Batgirl, Bond 25, and a really big flop of a movie called Black Panther. Stay tuned!
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Good morning, Meet the Movie Pressers. I am Jeff Snieder, host of Meet the Movie Press on the Popcorn Talk Network, editor-in-chief of the Tracking Board, tracking-board.com, and at the Sneider on Twitter, Instagram, and with me, as always,
Simon Thompson, at Showbiz Simon on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find me on Facebook, and my shit's all over Forbes and E and various other places.
Gross. And with us today, he needs no introduction from the rap, the ace scooper himself, Umberto Gonzalez, a.k.a.
What's good,
El
buddy?
Mayimbe.
It's been a hot minute since.
What's poppin', big guy?
What's poppin'?
Good to have you back.
It is good to have you back. It's good to see you.
Likewise.
Man, it's cold out there.
It's
Where
brick
are
out
we
there.
living?
It's freezing.
It's brick out there.
Yeah.
I'm in a jacket in L.A. What the hell?
As
man?
THR said, it is bitingly cold. The
Yeah,
stars have braced the biting 50-degree weather.
Yeah, no, I coming from the UK, this is summer.
Yeah, really.
This is summer. This is like pants off.
Although in Boston, I hear it's like 70 degrees.
Yeah.
So I'm a little jealous of
We're all
Boston.
complaining
right now.
about the cold and that poor Jennifer Lawrence out there in
Oh,
a dress.
jeez,
I should have came here in a
what a
wife beater.
ridiculous story. Let her wear what she wants to wear, people. Lots to discuss this week.
Yeah.
You good, though? You been good over there?
Oh yeah.
Everything going well? Good.
Yeah.
You've been doing a great job. Let her wear what
you.
she wants to wear. Okay, that was me.
Great. That was
I did say that.
arguing with yourself. That is a first. A lot of firsts on this show. That is a new one.
They say I'm a crazy person. All right, let's talk about Batgirl.
Yeah. You kick this off.
Umberto, give us
Batgirl.
the scoop. Joss Whedon, Hollywood Reporter, breaks the news out of nowhere yesterday. Joss Whedon is leaving Batgirl. Why? He says he can't find a story. He's been trying for a year. He just can't crack it. They part their ways. Is that what really went down, Umberto?
I don't buy it really. Okay, look at the culture that we're currently in right now, the Me Too movement and stuff. And you know, she's a female character, and he got into some issues that my outlet reported, a guest blog by his wife.
Right.
So, and then the debacle over Justice League. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, I thought fans would be happy that he's directing. On the contrary, they were happy that he left.
Yeah,
yesterday.
the responses, I think, was pretty positive yesterday. I think it was more that people were really excited by the idea that a female filmmaker could come in. Simon, but do you think this movie happens without Joss? I thought this was sort of Joss Whedon's baby, right?
Do you know, I mean, we disagree on this. I do think that this will happen, but I think it'll be a woman who takes it over. Now, if Joss Whedon or anybody's looking for a story, I have a story for Batgirl. I actually wrote one. I'm not even a huge Batgirl fan. I've got a great idea. So if DC is short,
Call Simon.
call me, because I've got one ready to go. But I think it was a bit of an oversight, regardless of everything that you've said about Joss. I think it was a slight oversight by the fact that the strength for DC so far has been when they've had a woman handling female-led stories within that world. When the guys have done it, they've had differing success. But I think if I was DC and if I was Warner, I would have just gone and said, let's get a woman to tell this story. Not that men can't tell the story, but women do it better in that universe. And I just think for all the topics that you discussed, it just would have been a much better idea right off the bat. Not meant to pun intended.
What do you think?
Like you and I, man, you know, we do this for a living. So if I was to suspect something, they'd probably call Kelly McConaughey or any of these ladies to come in and try to crack the script. The ladies that are working right now on Bumblebee, the ones working on the other DC project over there for Margot Robbie. So they got to get a script first. So
Right.
I'm pretty sure they're going to go to all the go-to hot top 5 female writers first, get takes, you know, get a script, if that's indeed the case. I don't know. I got to find that out today, actually. And then...
So you think that they'll hire a writer before turning their attention to a filmmaker? You don't think that they'll end up hiring like a writer-director?
I don't know. Or maybe they give a right. You know, look at Flashpoint. They're giving these 2 writers from Spider-Man: Homecoming their first. You know, they're still in talks technically to direct the movie. So why not give one of these writers a chance to direct as well? Surround them with a good team. There's a lot of possibilities, but I think right now, less than 30 days away, that it's all in the hands of the Department of Justice. That, like Fox, also they don't know what's going on. You know, they might say something today, but in a week or so, or a couple of years after the merger happens, if it does happen. AT&T might have plans different for DC altogether. We don't know that.
Right.
And that's a big thing weighing on them.
That's a fair point. Warner Brothers is kind of in a holding pattern while they see whether this deal goes through. Batgirl wasn't something that had a start date. It hadn't started casting. It's like, I guess, when we saw, there was like a period last year where there was a flood of DC announcements, and it was just like every week there was another project being announced. Like, is that the danger of leaks, that then something like this happens and it looks like there's a problem in the DC universe, when really it was just like, this probably shouldn't have even been announced to begin with?
They do have a leak problem. They were even trying to hire an individual, like, how Lucasfilm has somebody, Marvel has somebody for, like, specifically for IP. They were trying to do something to prevent leaks, but Sue Crow wasn't having it at her time. She deaded that. She's like, nah, I'm in control here. So I think, I mean, for example, here's something that's never been told, a little tidbit for you guys. The Joker movie just wasn't invented recently, after Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. It was pitched to Greg Silverman 2 years ago. This is a Silverman project that's been in development for 2 years. It just happened to get out now after the movie.
This is the Todd Phillips one.
The Todd Phillips one. Right? So it's basically
Joaquin is that they want Joaquin for.
Yep.
Yeah, they want. It's like a DC Elseworlds story and stuff. I think if they might even call it DC Elseworlds. Don't hold me to that. I don't know. I don't know what the name of the label is yet. But it's something that Todd Phillips came in. He pitched. I don't want to be tied down to some universal continuity. I want to do like some Elseworlds thing. So all right, cool. But that was 2 years ago. Not recently. Right. Last 6 months when Boris reported it, causing all this chaos. So that's how the leaks. Right. That the accuracy is not. It's not out there,
and that's how fans sort of get the timelines crossed.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of news in different corners of the DC universe. Obviously, with the Joker thing, Kroll and I got into it with his Chastain story, and we'll talk about that later.
You've made up now, though. You've made up.
Let's our pal Justin. There was
had a little cuddle.
Yes, our pal
wrote it out.
He'll appreciate that reference. But it's like
I saw that. I literally stepped away from Twitter. I was like, shit.
Yeah. So I posted the information that I had on the Joker, and it had like a start date on it, and people just like ran with that, and I'm like, this is why this information can't go out to all the blog sites, because nobody checks anything.
Yeah.
Like that is
Copy
why
and
you
paste.
get those magical documents, is to check these things, not to just put it all out there. And then Chris McKay, he got the job of doing. He's in negotiations to Dungeons and Dragons at Paramount, which led me,
which I'm psyched about,
to speculate in a sense where it's like, listen, if Nightwing was happening anytime soon, he wouldn't be negotiating for a big job at Paramount. Yeah. That's just how you read these leaves. What did you guys think of that?
It falls like Lobo's another one. It's been in development for 10 years.
Yeah.
Nightwing. Okay, right now DC, I do know this. They're going to try to figure out the core five: Flash, Batman, Aquaman, the Green Lantern Corps. Then they'll worry about the side characters like Nightwing, Batgirl.
So you think Flash is really the next priority over there?
What's the next? No, Wonder Woman. They go this.
Wonder Woman 2 is definitely happening.
Oh, we know that Aquaman's,
and then
we know that's a definite release. So
and then Flash.
Yeah.
And you think something like Gotham City Sirens, that's like down the line.
That's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, we're talking about how long these projects, can take. How long did Wonder Woman take? That was the longest time. How many people were attached to that over the years?
That was in development. I remember reading the first when Joel Silver was attached to produce over a decade ago.
Yeah.
I got the script from these brand new two writers. It was a period piece with Steve Trevor. It was awesome. And then Joss Whedon did a take. Okay, and then that didn't go anywhere. And then they finally nailed it with Jeff and Patty.
Mm-hmm. I just think I don't know what I think at this point of DC, but I'm not surprised.
Well, I don't think DC know what they think of DC generally. I think there's a lot of question marks and kind of how do you solve a problem like DC? Where do you start?
You must think about it. They must be overwhelmed, like a juggernaut like Marvel with this massive success. They're like the Patriots, and DC become the Jets.
You can't try to compete. They try to reverse engineer that whole universe thing, and I think that this standalone idea is much better. That is how you get a guy like Joaquin Phoenix. You say, listen, you're not going to be stuck playing this character for the next 10 years like Robert Downey Jr., and then every movie you turn up and it just feels like Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark these days. Like, you say, Joaquin, one fucking badass movie, and you're out. And I think that's how you improve that universe.
You did this before years ago when he was supposed to play Lex. He dances around DC. Let's see if it gets past negotiation stage and the offer's signed.
Yes,
and it's
of
a deal's
course.
closed because he's flaky like that.
Of course.
Well, other people do these universes. I mean, let's take it away from DC. Other people do these universes where you don't have people you have references to things that have happened, but you don't have those characters in it. And that might be a much safer path for DC moving forward, is they are within this world, but they don't come together. Or you do something where they just do like a Justice League 2 and then that influences the other stories. But it's a fan out rather than everything has to be literally cameos and juxtas and like they've done with Avengers.
Well, I think that Warner Brothers should move forward with Batgirl. I think Wonder Woman is not just enough. One female-led project is kind of just lip service. So let's see them develop another character, and I hope that they go young with it.
In the chat, people were talking about directors. Zayas has said if they want to get a director, what about Catherine Bigelow? I'd say no to that. Dee Reese, maybe.
See,
Greta Gerwig, Ava DuVernay.
Jesus Christ. All these suggestions are awful. Every single one that was just said.
Do you know what?
Oh, boy.
There's one there that I actually quite like. Greta Gerwig.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Confession: I haven't seen Lady Bird.
It's pretty good. I didn't love it as much as other people. It's pretty good.
Okay.
If that is like we build up these female directors like Greta Gerwig only to ship them to the DC universe, fucking so help me God.
Oh, wow.
And Catherine Bigelow, like I don't understand. Like
I
don't understand that because she's had the last decade of these kinds of opportunities and she hasn't pursued them. She's not interested in it. She's way better than this. She's an Oscar-winning director. When's the last time you saw an Oscar-winning director come to the DC universe?
Oscar winner. You gotta. Come on, a time crunch.
Not yet.
Time to think,
Come on, so yeah. It's absurd. It's an absurd suggestion. There was one more little tidbit out of DC this week. Aquaman test screening.
Oh yeah.
What did you hear from that?
Oh, I heard it was great, man. I mean, these are kids. They're of course biased and stuff, but like what's been out there, it packs an emotional love. Someone else told me it was a palate cleanser for them, for DC, like with what's happened with the Zack Snyder film. So, high hopes for that one in Shazam.
I heard that it plays like an Indiana Jones movie.
Yes.
I'm okay
And
with
that the action is puts Wonder Woman and Justice League to shame. That is what I heard.
Ooh,
And that would make
that's
sense.
awesome.
James Wan is an experienced action director. I would expect the action to really be awesome. And the fact that I imagine a lot of it is going to be underwater, too, is a different element than we've seen in a lot of these movies. So I'm not surprised that I heard reports that the action was awesome.
Congratulations. What you just said is going to come out on 50 Fanboy Blog.
Yeah,
That's
believe
how-
me, I know.
Including my own guys. Get on it.
For me, with
we need to up the viewership here at Meet the Movie Press because apparently people aren't watching enough.
For me, with the DC universe, my favorite films within it have been the ones where it has just been one person. And Aquaman is not a character that I personally got a great affinity for, but it is a film that I'm looking forward to. I like Man of Steel. I really like Wonder Woman. Aquaman, I'm excited about.
Let's go through the whole roster of everyone you like and don't like, Simon.
Okay. Then I didn't like Suicide Squad, and I didn't like Justice League.
Who did
I
like
think
either
that's
of
all
those?
them.
Wow.
So there you go.
The Snyder Cut. Release the Snyder Cut.
Pipe dream. Y'all gotta. Okay, DC fans, y'all
is
gotta
so
get over
annoying.
it. That's not gonna happen. It's a pipe dream. Okay, let it go. Okay, if there was indeed a Snyder Cut, I would have reported it years.
We're
ago.
gonna move on. You
Literally.
can't blame Warner Brothers for signing Joss on to do Batgirl. This is the director of the Avengers and Age of
Yes, you
Ultron.
can actually, because I personally too. I'm not
You
being.
thought it was a weird hire at the
It's
time.
not the weird hire. They should have just wrote out and see what. I mean, what they should have let Zach finish it regardless. If they knew that they couldn't save it, they just should have let the guy finish the movie.
But that's on Justice League. I mean on Batgirl. Like when the
Batgirl.
director of Avengers comes to you with an idea for a movie, I mean you got to listen. But so Simon, in closing, who would you hire on Batgirl? One choice. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I don't. It's kind of. I mean, I know you dissed it, but I think if you bring someone, maybe not her, but someone with that kind of creativity for that kind of female character, people were surprised when it was Patty Jenkins that was directing Wonder Woman. I think if you bring someone in with that kind of quirky sensibility, who can deliver good characters.
Do you have a name for me?
I would say someone like a Ava DuVernay or a Greta Gerwig.
Okay.
Just because I think they will get the character right.
I like your idea, the writer-director. I would go with a writer first, someone who could tackle it. Kelly Sue McConaughey, she's super hot right now.
Oh, yeah. Good choice.
She writes for Marvel. She writes comic books too.
I would almost give like Phil Hay and Matt Manfredi the chance and like Karen Kusama direct it.
Karen Kusama.
Just because I think she's earned her way back into the big budget leagues.
I think she's probably a contender.
I'm excited for Destroyer. Like I said, I hope Nicole Kidman puts in a good word with the DC brass.
I actually have a suggestion.
Okay, who's that, Anthony?
The director of The Bad Batch, Anna Lily Amirpour.
I'll tell you, she has a great eye. She's a miserable storyteller. She couldn't write a script at all.
Yeah.
But she has a great eye. So if she was directing someone else's screenplay, I could totally see that, Anthony.
Right on.
But at the end of the day, we don't have to worry about this for a long time.
That's right.
Because it's not going to happen for a while.
Bond, baby. Bond 25.
Before we do that, can we just briefly, you touched on this Dungeons and Dragons, Chris
sure.
McKay. I know you were saying this has been in, like, planned for, like, over, 10 years or more. I mean, I can remember this being talked about Christ as long as, like, the Captain Planet movie that's never happened. I would genuinely enjoy a Dungeons and Dragons movie. There are only a handful of these sort of fighting fantasy kind of things that I would like. I loved Dungeons and Dragons as a kid, and the cartoon was fucking amazing. I mean, it's still to this day is amazing. It's great fun.
I like the cartoon.
But I would love. I mean, I thought the Dungeons and Dragons movie they did a while ago was just really, really poor. I think with the right people, it could be genuinely really good and be a great combination of really good action and some really nice, funny stuff. I think if they do it right, it could be very successful and very enjoyable.
I think you're the kind of person I would have shoved in a locker in high school.
Thanks for that, Jeff.
You nerd.
Fuck you very much.
Fucking Dungeons and Dragons.
I wouldn't let you do that because I was a jock that protected the nerds.
Yeah, you would have been the nerdy jock.
Yeah, so
exactly.
fuck you, Jeff.
Dungeons and Dragons.
This guy
Holy
giving you a
shit.
hard time?
You
put him in the locker?
asshole.
You couldn't pay me enough to see
Jesus.
Dungeons and Dragons. This is like maybe the geeky.
What did you do as a kid, bro?
This is the fucking geekiest property I've ever heard of in the world.
You have no. Did you do anything geeky as a kid, bro?
I did all kinds of geeky shit, but I also played sports.
Oh, you did. So did I.
Is that how you got your physique?
Exactly. Dungeons and fucking
That
Dragons,
shit
man.
doesn't happen overnight.
Hey,
Years
I
of training.
don't still play
No.
that
Years of training.
24-sided die.
Dungeons and Dragons is not for me. That is some
Okay.
that is like Warcraft shit.
Oh,
Holy crap, man.
could be.
I've never touched Warcraft in my entire life, and I wouldn't. But Dungeons and Dragons, I've got love for that.
I played the first
You
one on
guys
PC
are
years
cute.
ago. Ooh.
It's true.
I actually have a 12-sided die in my bag for you guys to spin around afterwards.
Nice.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Dungeon Master over here.
I was gonna say,
we'll lock you in a closet. You got a dice. Oh my god. Fucking dice.
I'm gonna watch get the cartoon on box.
Hey.
Yeah, it's fucking great, mate. Seriously, I revisited it quite recently. That and Real Ghostbusters, and they still are fucking amazing.
Real Ghostbusters is amazing.
Oh,
I'll
look
take
at you,
there.
nerd! Lock him in a locker.
All right,
Eh,
we're
you
going back G-Force, baby. Back in
can
those
get
days.
your ass in a locker. Fuck.
All right, Bond 25.
Ooh.
Can we move on? Can we go
Yes.
to Bond
Yeah,
25?
Let's go and talk
Our
about Bond
pal
25.
Justin's story.
Yeah, we're
You
already
big
halfway through the
nerds.
fucking show. Kroll broke this. He said that Danny Boyle is high on MGM's list. Mm-hmm. That conversations have kind of cooled around the last three frontrunners. And then the next day, Mike Fleming followed up with his sources and said that it's John Logan. John Logan is writing the script
For
Danny Boyle's idea. It's him.
not John Logan, the other guy, the guy who did.
I think it is.
Not John. I forgot who's the other guy. He did the writer he keeps working with. I forgot.
John Hodge? Is that it?
I forgot the name. It's in the picture. It's in the.
I thought
it's
it
in
was
the
John
story.
Logan. Anyways,
Yeah.
Danny Boyle is somebody is writing a script with him.
Right.
He has an idea for almost like a standalone Bond movie,
His
which would be Craig's last outing. Do you think Danny Boyle would be a good fit for the Bond franchise?
Oh, are you kidding? Of
Simon,
course.
Simon, you're first because
Oh, yeah,
you're
I'm
the
sorry.
Brit.
Yeah, no, I think he would.
We gotta pay respect
Oh,
here.
well, I'll just talk on behalf of the entire
You-
UK
you
film
fucking
industry.
geek.
Yeah, that's right. To get your fat ass in a locker, you fuck. I think he would be really good. I think the one thing that is against him is the fact that he hasn't actually had a hit movie in quite a while. And I think there might be some trepidation over whether he can bring the bucks. As far as creativity, I think he could absolutely do it, and I think he would turn out a great movie. But I can understand that there might be some trepidation over his bankability. I would personally love to see him do this. I mean, I know Chris Nolan said, I'm not interested, I'm not up for this, I'm not doing it. I know that's not going to happen. I would have, out of the two of them, I would have much rather have seen a Danny Boyle, slightly sort of more sort of different type of grittier film than a richer, darker movie that perhaps Chris Nolan would have taken. I'm personally very happy and totally okay with this idea. And he's also worked with the Bond property before for the Olympics previously.
Right.
And he's got a
Which is an
very good
interesting
relationship
connection.
with Daniel. And Daniel is someone who, in the industry, is not certainly by no stretch the most difficult person in the industry, but having a good relationship with Daniel does help. That is something that he already has. And I think it'll be an interesting meeting of minds. Daniel likes to have a say in what kind of he wants to do and how he sees things, and I think that those visions would work really nicely together.
Umberto?
Oh man, I love the choice. Danny Boyle's a hyperkinetic filmmaker. Remember The Beach with Leo, the original Transpotting? I mean, come on, the guy's baller. But yeah, and I totally I forgot about that connection when he worked with Daniel Craig in the last Olympics.
One of the highlights of that opening ceremony. People still talk about it today.
But
Maybe you could get the Queen back.
But as I'm pretty sure you know, Eon and the Broccolis could be as a not difficult.
Yeah.
Excuse me. They could be like what Marvel is over here when it comes to filmmakers. They have a certain machinery. You got to hit certain beats. We need certain things. I don't know if Danny Boyle could work within that framework. We have to see. But the Broccolis and Eon remain something.
He is kind of cut from a very similar mold, though, of Sam Mendes.
Yeah.
I mean, both being Brits, they've both directed a Best Picture winner.
Yep.
I think that the one thing that's kind of lacking in Boyle's resume is action. Not that there isn't action in some of his movies, but he's never made like an actual action movie.
Yep. But what he is really good at is mixing tortured characters and humor in the same thing. For instance, Trainspotting. Very dark, full of tortured characters, yet he managed to have this underlying levity that is really, really good. I would be interested to see what he does with action. I think it would be very nicely considered action. And at the end of the day, some of the Bond movies that have had great action sequences turned out to be some of the shittiest Bond movies of all.
Yes, but second unit directors have come up. Like, what's the guy who directed the one in the 70s? When The Spy Who Loved Me. Yeah, a lot of. I mean,
Amazing.
Danny Boyle will be fine because he'll just have to hire a dope second unit director to do the action for him.
I mean, he's done groundbreaking before as far as like those zombies in 28 Days Later. You know, the way that
oh my God! Hello, that's an action movie.
Yeah, in a sense, it's definitely the closest he has come.
Hyperkinetic.
I think he would be really good. I'm generally a Danny Boyle fan. You are right that the last few movies haven't necessarily worked. I didn't love the Trainspotting sequel. I didn't love Trance. I did love Steve Jobs, but it didn't do any business.
No.
And I haven't been loving Trust, his upcoming FX series.
Okay.
That has not necessarily impressed me. But you look at his early filmography, it's hard to argue.
Yeah,
exactly.
I would be entirely comfortable with that, and he'd be a safe pair of hands. He's not going to go rogue. He's not going to try some crazy shit, but he'll have some really nice and fresh ideas.
If the script comes in and they're like, you know what, I don't love it, or maybe it's the wrong time for this kind of reinvention or whatever, and maybe we'll even hold this over until we introduce the next Bond, and they go back to that original Purvis and Wade script.
Is it the wrong time, or is it exactly the right time? Because this is Bond 25, and this franchise is going to roll. And if you do want this final bit of the chapter before you change the Bond, this to set the tone for the next chapter,
interesting,
could actually be the way to go, rather than waiting for 26 for the change. Start the change now.
You wouldn't. I feel like you would if you were going to really change it up and change up what a Bond movie is or what it looks like. Wouldn't that come with the new Bond?
Here's a crazy idea: get him to do 25 and 26. Sign him up, film them.
No, I'd say get rid of him now. Then I don't need two more Craig movies. I can stand.
No.
one.
What I'm saying is make the transition to get him to do 25 and 26. Introduce the new Bond and then carry it through. Because if you are going to have that transition to a new Bond at that point. If you have someone that handles that, is that elastoplast over the top of it, that filmic duct tape, might make that transition a lot smoother.
I'm not a huge Bond guy, so I'm going to defer to you on this. You're the
like
expert.
Bond, bro? Wow. And you like superheroes like Bond, you like Dungeons and Dragons.
Belongs in that locker.
You guys are inner geekdom competitors. All right, Black Panther. Simon, give us the box office lowdown.
Well, it did quite well. It did quite well.
How did you do in the office pool? I know
nobody got it. I did 150
over.
over 3 and 200 over 4. I did 200 over 3 and 242 over 4.
Yeah, that was an insane
Nobody
opening.
got it.
Over 6 days domestically, it's done 277.5 according to Variety. Worldwide, by Thursday, 500 million. Which is
not bad.
Which is not bad at all. And this weekend it's still going to continue. I think they're looking at a weekend of 100 million this weekend.
I got 102.
3
on
day.
the board.
I think it's going to be
which
over
is exactly
100.
like a 101. I think is a 50%.
102.
thing. So you're looking at like a 49% drop.
Yeah, see, I think it's going to go over 100. I think we can see 110, maybe 120, because a lot of people are going back to see this again and again and again.
know.
And word of mouth is exceptionally strong for it. So I think 100 is slightly conservative, somewhere between 100 and 120.
I would. I struggled with this all week because this is the final week in our fantasy movie league.
Right.
And I am trailing Neil Turris.
Fucking nerdy,
By
that
a little
man.
bit. That is
nerdy.
Listen,
It is nerdy.
fantasy box. I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
You get the Dungeons and Dragons.
Well,
I'll take the
it's-
fantasy
you-
box
Okay,
up.
Dude,
check
we
this
got
out. You know what
lockers
fantasy
outside.
football is?
Yeah.
Fantasy football and fantasy office league, whatever. It's Dungeons and Dragons with movie characters or
Yeah.
jocks. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Fair
Thank
enough.
you.
Fair enough.
Whoa.
There you go.
That said, so I'm kind of with you. I thought it was going to overperform and be like 120, Simon.
Yeah.
I don't know if the grosses have been so strong during the week that some of that it's eating up into some of that weekend business. Like, I mean, we haven't seen weekday grosses like this in quite a while.
We haven't, but there's also, I mean, even though there's there's a couple of big movies out this weekend, there is no real competition. So,
I mean,
you know,
so anyway, my point is that I bet big on game night. I'm betting that game night is going to overperform. You really liked it, right?
I really enjoyed Game Night.
So did I, and I
Very
think
funny.
that it's the first comedy in a while to have a Rotten Tomato score of over 80%.
It's the first one to be genuinely funny.
Yeah,
consistently.
Last year was a bad year for comedy
Yeah.
between Snatched and Rough Night and Baywatch and The House. Like, you know, all the big studio comedies didn't really work. Daddy's Home 2, Bastards. So yeah, this is that's why I think people, given the state of affairs in the world, people are going to go flock to a comedy. So I bet big on Game Night, and we'll see if it cracks like that 16 to 20 range.
Well, Game Night, they're looking at it did 1 million in previews. It's looking at a weekend of 12 to 14, and then Annihilation is the other big one that did 900,000 in previews, and it's looking at 10 to 12. I think Game Night's going to do more because there are a lot of people really interested to see
Deadline
it.
revised its estimate before our show started, and
Okay.
they said it's looking like 14 to 21.
I could see. I would
So
say
that's what I'm
14 to
banking
20.
on.
I
We'll
think
see.
20 would be
I don't
entirely
know.
doable.
He has his own numbers. He's always trying to go first before everybody over that deadline, and he doesn't really use. He kind of
That's
like
fair,
wings it.
too.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Annihilation too, because that also
Yeah.
comes out this week. The Natalie Portman sci-fi movie. You didn't see
I
it,
haven't
but you
seen
want to see it.
Yeah, I'm curious.
You
to
don't
see
give
it.
a shit, do you?
I want to see. The screenings. I had to meet people. I couldn't go.
Okay. I thought I sensed like some just general disinterest, and I was curious
Yeah,
why don't you want to see
It's
it?
it's now not to it looks a little too cerebral for me. You know.
That was what the producer's argument was beforehand. I didn't love it. I just think it's one of those movies that looks beautiful and sounds beautiful, and ultimately it's like, what the fuck did I just see?
So Blade Runner.
Exactly like Blade Runner, which is why I said if you love Blade Runner 2049, you
We
will
had that
love
conversation at
Annihilation.
Game Night.
So it's atmosphere and all that.
And
Okay.
some people were like, "Is that a good thing or a bad thing?" I'm like, "Well, it depends what you thought."
It's elevated sci-fi.
Yeah,
But it's interesting, and we touched on this last week, that
the thinking
Annihilation is
man
theatrical here domestically, but in the UK it's going to Netflix. Yeah. I mean, I just don't. There's not generally the buzz on the street. People aren't saying I'm looking forward to. Within, there are people within the film community who are interested in seeing it, and a couple of people are going, in the chat, do I see Game Night? Do I see Annihilation? There's not the excitement and stuff around
definitely
that.
see Game Night.
Yeah, Game Night is seriously worth your money, and there's so many surprises in that movie, and the script is so tight. It's very raw, actually, in a couple of places. I was like,
Yeah,
it's pretty good. There's teeth sucking in that. That's really, really good. But yeah, I mean, I just don't. There's not the buzz for Annihilation. I don't see it opening sort of higher than 3, maybe 4 in the chart. Black Panther number 1. I think that's going to retain that by some margin. I think then it's going to be Game Night, and then possibly Jumanji still at number 3. And I think it's going to be 3 or 4 is going to be between Annihilation and something like Jumanji, or maybe Peter Rabbit. I mean, that's kind of dropping quite a bit, but
Annihilation, man. I just felt like people were tripping over themselves to call this movie a masterpiece.
People get
praising
way
the
too
cast up down. Tessa
excited about
Thompson
these
is in this movie
things.
for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
She has like no lines. Come on.
I
Come
think
on,
that
guys.
there's a number of factors in here that always do get people to do this thing. There's the director. There's the fact that it is visually impressing and it sounds impressive, and also the fact that there's a lot of women who lead this cast. There are a number of things in there.
People want to see it succeed.
that
I
people
wanted
do
it
wanna
to
see it
succeed. My
but
girl
also-
Gina Rodriguez, who's
but
good in the movie.
You
but
absolutely have to be realistic and give your own honest opinion, and not the one that you think that you should
Exactly.
be giving. And people do get excited
Which I
about this.
definitely do.
So many of, especially within this genre, and also within sort of superheroes, they think that they have to defend the movie, and by defending it, they have to say that it's amazing. I'm curious to see it. I'm interested in seeing it. It's just not
tired of these critics who are like, well, if you don't like this movie, then you don't, then you like stupid sci-fi movies.
Well,
like, very condescending critics around this movie I've seen. Not
It is,
to name
and then
names.
you also get the critics who they love everything, and it's like you can't love everything. You've got to have shades of grey. You've got to have a palette.
Umberto, what did you want to talk about? What's next on your list?
To see?
No, to discuss. Is there anything on your mind this week?
Honestly, I've been dealing. Both my Facebook pages got hacked, so I'm still.
Dude, I've been getting. I wake up every morning now, and I have like 6 emails from Facebook that's like your password reset code is this. Somebody's trying to hack me too, I think.
No, they got my fan pages, man. So it's like it's just a nightmare.
You don't have like a dual authentication thing with?
No, it's a vulnerability in their business manager that's been that was previously exploited, and Facebook paid $2,000 to the hacker that discovered that. Facebook has this bug program where if you find a bug and it passes the sniff test, you get money for it. So now all these Indian hackers are like trying to find flaws, but there was a flaw in business manager. They got in, they kicked me out, and they controlled my pages.
What do they do to your page?
They started spamming it with like offensive content and stuff. So
oh shit!
Yeah, oh dude, so I got admin status of my pages, but I don't have ownership of them. They're still in this hacked account, and it's just
Simon, put him in touch with your friends at the FBI.
I was saying I had death threats the other week.
Facebook is just a nightmare to deal with. So it's like
Jesus. Okay, well then I understand. You're being frazzled a bit. That's
absolutely.
worrisome.
It can take up a lot of your time.
What
and
were
it can
you
be
gonna say,
distressing. I was going to say, hey guys, did you hear about Jessica Chastain being linked to the adult
Jessica
role in It?
Chastain.
I don't know if you guys heard about this at all this week.
This was huge news that nobody saw coming.
We discussed this on the show a long time ago.
Throwing shade.
So Kroll was busting out his big tease all weekend, and I'll be honest, he had me sweating.
You had,
Umberto and I talked over the weekend. We're like, what do you think it could be? We
I called Jeff. I was like, I made some calls, just to see if he was in my space. Nah,
I figured it was something to do with Bond. It just felt like sometimes you can just sense it in the atmosphere. Like there's something with Bond going on. So what was funny is that on Monday morning or Tuesday morning he comes out swinging with the Jessica Chastain thing, which is something I believe I've said on the show before. Which Andy Machete has said in interviews. For since September. And it just wasn't that big a surprise. But to Kroll's credit, he then had a monster day. He posterized the two of us. He broke 6 fucking things in a row, one of which was the Bond thing. So he may have just been stalling.
Not stalling. He got roasted on his Twitter feed when he first broke Chastain. It was a sight to behold.
But
it was awesome.
Maybe it's because he was actually teasing the Danny Boyle thing, which he did break 6 hours later.
Yeah.
But if he had led with that, we wouldn't have roasted him.
No, that's the thing. But I told you before, you and I, and it is big news. But what you and I think is big news, and it's happened to me just like it happened to Justin many times. Our audience might not think it's big news. They might not even care. And there was a lot of meh passes or dumb gifs
His story did huge business, I thought.
Course.
It was number one. It was everywhere, yeah.
They got the best SEO in the business, of course.
And that's kind of the thing. It was I was telling him, man, it's not like I haven't made the calls on Jessica Chastain and it's just, Justin, you work at Variety. And you're always going to get that call first because you're Variety, and I think Justin understands that. He's in an enviable position. I've been in that position before, and I've seen how it works. Going down a step and going down another step, or whatever.
They do get leaked a lot of stuff. They got leaked an executive firing that I knew about.
Listen,
okay, cool.
Variety, Holland Reporter. That is, the business has been trained for 90 years to go with them to things. But go to them with things.
That's where guys like you and I that are
we're trying
outliers,
to upset the basic flow. But sometimes even when we know things, we don't get that call, that green light to say, okay, you can go with it. Or we get it a minute after. A minute after.
But, oh my God, that's the worst. But I mean, full
it happened
disclosure,
to me with Annapurna and Booksmart on Friday.
I wasn't even tracking the cast of It 2 yet. I should be. I'll probably get in trouble for it, but it's not even on my radar.
No. Again,
there's so much that we have to cover, man.
I think it's a crazy amount, and it's all about start dates too.
Yeah.
So you got to really, once you can figure out what's heading into production, then you know what's going to be casting soon, and yada yada.
But also with Jessica Chastain, I mean, a lot of people, when after the movie came out, when the first the last year's It came out, a lot of people were lists of actresses with red hair that this could possibly be.
Which is like three
actresses. And it was kind of like, so there's Jessica Chastain, there's Amy Adams, there's Karen Gillan, there's Nicole Kidman, she's more blonde than anything else.
Little too old for that role.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I'm saying there's not exactly a lot of people. You can dye hair. I'm aware of that, so you can change it. But it's Jessica Chastain was still on the top of that list, and it seemed popular that she would be a popular choice. So when that story came out, a scoop is a scoop, and do not want to take away from that.
And I told Justin I would have run the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not poking holes in the story.
No, I'm
Right.
certainly
it was
not.
Just
But
that
it's
it
kind
was
of like
blown up. That's all.
Yeah.
He took a page from my playbook, and now he learned that it could blow up in your face.
It worked though. The advertising, every single tweet of his between.
He lost like 300 followers after
Did he
that.
really?
Oh yeah, we
Really?
were watching his Twitter
That's
follows.
just petty DC fans or
crazy.
whatever.
Yes,
but
exactly.
that's
It was
crazy.
hilarious, and he thought we would complain. Bro, I'm not gonna complain. I
It
just
doesn't
watched
change
it.
the world. None of this stuff changes the world. It's fucking doesn't matter.
No, to us it means to
Yeah.
the
Oh,
five
yeah.
to
Yeah,
the
I was
five
gonna say.
insider
Absolutely.
ninjas in Hollywood. To us, it's everything.
Yeah.
Speaking of hot Justin Kroll scoops,
Oh.
I'm talking. This isn't just hot, guys. This one was flaming hot.
Flaming hot.
I see a headline yesterday. It's like "Flamin' Hot Cheetos inspired movie in the works" at Fox Searchlight and from producer Devon Franklin. So I tweeted out from the studio that brought you The Shape of Water and 3 Billboards, the Flaming Hot Cheetos movie. Now, in truth, this actually is not a terrible idea. It is just like Joy. Flamin' Hot Cheetos gives people the wrong idea that it's like the Emoji Movie but with chips.
Yeah.
This is about a janitor. I don't know if he was a legal or illegal immigrant at Frito-Lay who came up with the idea for Flaming Hot Cheetos. It's just like Joy, but with a diverse lead. Joy is just about the woman who created Miracle Mops. We all thought that was ridiculous. I actually like Joy. It made $100 million worldwide, believe it or not.
I'm still scratching my head about the fact that someone went into a pitch meeting with that.
With the
and
Miracle
someone's
Mop
going
movie.
That is
And it was David O.
great.
Russell, no less.
Yeah.
Going
Hey,
into
I don't
a
knock
pitch
the
meeting.
hustle. He got it in. He got
Yeah,
it
he did.
So
Still amazes
listen,
me,
while
though.
the story itself and the headline was frankly fucking hilarious, I understand how this movie could work. As Justin sort of had explained it to me. I just thought it was funny that multiple studios were chasing the Flamin' Hot Cheetos movie.
I thought it was a fake headline. I genuinely thought it was a fake story. Like someone in an office somewhere had hit a button for like a dummy story that you have for like a test page.
Right.
And someone had accidentally pressed send. And I was like, what?
Yeah,
Too crazy. But then I read the story and I understood.
like Devon Franklin is a brand, just like Jason Blum is. So through that lens of knowing the kinds of movies that Devon makes, I think it could work.
Interesting thing though is
I don't know if it'll ever get made though.
No, I mean, there's the question of whether it'll
Half
get
the
made
stuff we
or
break
whatever.
never gets made.
But also, audiences generally, they don't get, or more commonly, they don't get on board with movies that are explanation heritage movies. So Joy did okay, didn't do amazing.
And that's what Jennifer Lawrence, and that's the only
That's
reason
with-
that movie
yeah,
got made.
Jennifer Lawrence. There
Because
were
I'll tell you
so
something you
many
haven't
movies.
seen is
Founder.
You haven't. I was just going to say The
Didn't
Founder.
do particularly well.
And I'll tell you
love
one
that movie.
one movie.
Yeah.
I love The Founder. It's terrific. One movie you haven't seen come to fruition that was announced years ago. Where's Sandra Bullock's Tupperware movie?
Yeah.
The woman
Tupperware
who created
2.
Tupperware. Tupperware.
Tupperware.
Where?
So you're right though. Those kinds
Yeah.
of movies don't necessarily do
Jobs.
well. Jobs didn't do well. Social Network did, but
Social Network did, yeah.
that's Fincher.
But they had a
and
good social
Facebook.
media campaign behind that.
Right. So, anyways, we can move on from Flaming Hot
Yep.
Cheetos. Listen, I won't take it away from the kid. Kroll had a great week.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Pinocchio, since he's your buddy.
Yeah, Paul King. Blowing up Hollywood.
First,
right
it was
now.
Willy Wonka last week.
Yeah.
Now he's doing Disney's Pinocchio.
Yeah, really good call.
Pretty good deal for the
Everybody
guy who made
wants
the
to
100%
work.
rated Rotten Tomatoes movie.
Everybody wants to work with Paul. Whenever he comes up in conversation when I'm talking to execs and stuff like that, nobody has anything but amazing things to say about him. Everybody wants to work with Paul King. Paul King's next 5 to 10 years in Hollywood is pretty much secure. And I think with big movies like Pinocchio and Wonka, he's seriously, I would predict that within, 5 years, he is given something. I'm not going to say it is this franchise, but something like a Star Wars or something like that is a known franchise movie.
He trends young.
He trends young, but the stories that he tells from that young trend point appeal to such a wide audience.
Exactly. Everybody seems to love
Such a wide
Paddington.
audience.
Again, that's not a movie I'm going to see.
And
But,
if you Paddington 2 was great, and there was a lot of sort of Wes Anderson style touches in that design wise and stuff. Seriously, Hollywood loves Paul King right now.
definitely has a bright future.
Really
What do
bright
you think of this
future.
Pinocchio hire?
No, it's solid.
Yeah.
Disney's remaking all their cartoons into live action movies. Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, which I'm stoked for. It's the next in line. Wasn't on my radar.
Do you have any idea who might play the boy, or who do you think should play the boy?
It'll probably be one of those Stranger Thing kids or the It kids, whatever the hot It kids.
Yeah, I
at
don't
the
know how
moment.
old they are.
Yeah.
How old the role is. If he's under 10 or if he's 15. I don't know.
Like we bodied the Lion King casting. Like
Yeah, you did a really good job.
Justin was on here and he said who's gonna play Scar? When I heard that, I was like, I'm gonna take that shit.
Boom.
And then we broke Scar. And yeah, so we have somebody else who's got good dibs with Disney, so we'll see.
Disney are not afraid to cast unknowns in sort of lead
Right,
roles.
and they have good taste too. Jungle Book.
Jungle Book. I was going to say
Book,
Jungle
yeah.
Book's a really good example.
Pete's Dragon.
Pete's Dragon. I mean, I love that movie. It didn't do particularly well, but I really enjoyed it.
Me too.
Aladdin has a number of people in there who have some experience but aren't big names aside from the likes of Will Smith. So they're not afraid to find somebody new. So I would not be surprised if they cast someone who we don't know yet.
Okay. Yeah, I threw out Jacob Tremblay just because I think Pinocchio actually, strangely, has a lot of emotional heavy lifting to it. It's a demanding role of an actor, and I think there's very very few little boys who could handle something like that. Jacob Tremblay.
Yeah.
Maybe an unknown.
Yeah.
But also, I mean,
Tremblay has not sold out and done that huge movie yet, though.
No. But also, he's getting to that point where he's going to start looking and getting older quite soon.
You're right. He's going to go
And
through puberty real
Pinocchio,
quick.
I don't think we're going to see that hitting screens for maybe 2, possibly 3, because if he's got Wonka and he's already in...
Yeah, he could look totally different by the time he starts filming
Yeah.
it and finishes it.
Yeah, he's going to look like an adolescent Pinocchio. I mean, how old is he now? He's
can't keep
early
track.
teens, I'm assuming.
Oh,
So then he'd be
out.
looking like 15, 16.
Yeah.
So I just don't, and you don't really want to have someone filming that because if that point in their life, you just logistically that's going to be quite difficult to match everything. I think they're going to go with someone who's unknown, and I think they're going to fill the rest of the cast with well-known classic actors.
Who is Geppetto? Robert Downey Jr.?
I'd love Kevin Kline. I know he was
Tom
in.
Hanks?
He was in. Oh, Tom Hanks, not bad. Kevin Kline was great in Beauty and the Beast.
He was
He
fabulous.
was really good, and he doesn't get enough credit for that. And I'd love to see him doing it.
Okay.
Jeff Bridges. Too old,
That
maybe.
no, that wouldn't be bad. Geppetto's fucking old.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kevin
That's
Kline's
what it
a big
actually
enough
says
name,
in the
but
script. Geppetto.
That's a line. That is
fucking
breaking.
old.
That's an exclusive here on Meet the Movie Press. First line of the script.
In the movie.
Pinocchio going,
In the
"Geppetto,
movie.
you're fucking
Pinocchio.
old."
How are you? Geppetto, fucking old.
Guys, Universal made big
Yeah.
news this week announcing Jurassic World 3. This
Yeah.
is months ahead of the release of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. A sign of confidence. They got a female screenwriter, Emily Carmichael, is going to be teaming up, I think, with Trevorrow and Connolly, or whatever is going on there. Jurassic World 3, thoughts?
We're not in the movie business anymore. You should know very well right now. We're in the IP event business.
Right.
Okay, so it's not surprising to me that they're making a third one.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
My question with this is, again, not surprised they're making it. I always saw that after the first one being so successful that this would be a trilogy. Do you think that when they've made the third, they're going to continue that, or do you think they're going to go and work on a new trilogy with new people? Because this is such a moneymaker for them now. It's. I would be amazed if they don't try and do another trilogy. I'd be surprised if they leave it after 3. But would they try and continue with Chris Pratt, etc., etc.? Or do you think they'd...
If I'm Chris Pratt, I'm getting the fuck out of there.
Yeah, I would be amazed if he stuck past a third movie if they take it past that.
really am curious what Chris Pratt's career would look like if he didn't have to go back and forth every year or two to Guardians, and then we do a Jurassic movie, then we do a Guardians movie, then we do a Jurassic World movie, and it's like, can we get something else?
Bro,
from
he's
this
got to
guy?
work. He's getting divorced. He's gonna have to pay alimony, child support. He needs to make money, bro.
Does he? I feel like Anna Faris probably makes more than him.
Yeah,
with
LA, it's community property state, bro. 50-50.
Exactly. So Doesn't he get half of her shit? She's the one with a big hit sitcom. Jurassic World 3, 2021, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking
I
forward
already
to
bought
Fallen
tickets.
Kingdom, though. I'm psyched for that. Genuinely.
Hopefully I'll receive my movie pass by then.
Oh, God.
People are talking, going back to Pinocchio very quickly, a couple of suggestions. Mark Rylance, Bryan Cranston, and someone says Donald Sutherland. I think he's too old. Liam Neeson I quite like, because he does have a very
He would be
particular
good.
set of skills. Or Christopher Plummer as Geppetto. That's from Animation Dudes. Well, you could cast Kevin Spacey first. And then
Christopher
replace him.
Plummer.
Yeah.
He's hot. He's Oscar nominee.
Yeah.
Not a ton of other stuff. The Muppets are going to Disney's over-the-top service.
They are.
Streaming service,
Yeah.
it sounds like. That's kind of cool. Are you a Muppets guy?
Of course. Who isn't a Muppets guy?
I like the Muppets. Maybe that makes me a little geeky.
Hey, if you guys like the Muppets, then you
Fucking-
might be interested in the piece that I've done with Lisa Henson, the CEO of the Jim Henson company, because Black Crystal comes back into movie theaters this week in the first week of March for a total of 4 nights. It's a 4K restoration. It looks absolutely amazing. I got to go on to the lot, have a little chat with Lisa, which is amazing. We talk about the Dark Crystal, the legacy of her dad's work, and obviously Frank Oz, amazing Frank Oz, and talks about why never say never about a Dark Crystal sequel.
Ooh.
So that is on Forbes now, so check that out. I knew you'd be super excited
did
about
she
that.
say you look-
You nerd!
Did she say you look like a Muppet?
She did. She, yeah.
good
I was
accent.
going to go somewhere else, and yes, she did.
Okay, real quick. Kiersey Clemens,
Yeah.
female lead in the Zorro movie with
Yeah.
Gael Garcia Bernal. The fat kid from It. I think his name is Jeremy Ray Taylor. He played Ben in it. Well, he's a fat
He just
kid from
likes
It.
to go.
It's okay
He just likes
call
to
him-
go by the fat kid.
I know
from It.
he's a fat kid in it. I'm sorry. He joined Goosebumps too. He was my favorite one in the movie, so I'm glad to see him continue working. The Duplass brothers signed a deal with Netflix.
They did.
You guys
Not
Duplass
surprising.
fans?
Yeah,
Or you
I
like?
am.
Yeah, no, they know how to make movies on the cheap. I don't knock their hustle. I even read their. I think not. No, I'm talking. I read their book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
I haven't
they had
watched
a book.
Creed 2
Damn, I
yet,
gotta
but
buy
I'm
that.
looking forward to it because I enjoyed Creed.
Check that out. Gemma Artison's playing Marilyn Monroe. Robert Rodriguez to direct Hypnotic. Are you familiar with that
I
property?
didn't hear that. This is the first time hearing it. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't-
Teaming up with Max Borenstein. Anne Hathaway is doing Dee Reese's next movie.
Yep.
That's a cool team up.
Very cool.
Yeah. Lupita Nyong'o playing Trevor Noah's mother.
that came out of.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like everybody's tracking what's next for this hot
Born a
cast.
Crime or something?
Yeah, Born a Crime, the novel. I mean, not the novel, the autobiography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a trailer for Jared Leto's movie, The Outsider, which is going to be on Netflix. That almost starred Tom Hardy, I feel like. It's like a white guy joining the Yakuza. I don't know if that would actually. I guess,
that
wait,
interests me.
that, isn't that
That
is
sounds
a
like a
true
Chris
story.
Farley movie.
I think that's a true story.
Okay.
No,
No, is it like a ninja movie or Yakuza movie? Like,
yeah, it's a Yakuza movie.
I love Black Rain as a kid growing up, so I'm definitely.
Yeah, Black Rain's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah.
That to me, that storyline sounds like an Adam Sandler or like a Chris Farley or a.
You're right, like a
"Hey,
Beverly
look at me,
Hills
I'm in the
Ninja."
Yakuza. How did that happen?
That'll pretty much do it. I mean, there's some whispers out there about what may be next for Chris Nolan.
Yeah.
but I don't know how legit they are. We'll see.
I'm hearing it's the Flaming Hot Cheetos movie.
Yes, Chris.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Chris
folks.
Nolan's
Chris
Flaming
Nolan
Hot
doing the
Cheeto
Flamin' Hot
trilogy.
Cheetos movie.
That
That would be a great April Fool's Day tweet.
Also, before we finish, BAFTA last weekend. No, come on. Why are you
Go
laughing
ahead.
at the
Go
BAFTAs?
ahead. Go
Why are you
ahead,
laughing at the
Simon. Go
BAFTAs? 3 Billboards took Best Film. Guillermo del Toro takes Best Director. I thought that was quite interesting.
You're on the show next week, right? You're here.
I am next week. Yeah.
All right, we'll do our Oscar predictions then next
Yeah.
week. Umberto, what do you have any thoughts on Best Picture before we leave you?
Best Picture. I follow what Steve Pond and
I just go with what Pond said.
Pond and Tapley and Tapley.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Dunkirk,
I don't
Get
know.
Out,
I
or
have
Shape.
great respect for Chris Tapley. I don't know if he's pushing the Dunkirk thing. I don't see Dunkirk winning.
I
don't think
think-
it's in the picture.
I know.
But I think Guillermo gets director.
Yes, I think.
I
Well,
think,
that's
yeah.
a
And I think
shoo-in.
3 Billboards is going to take film.
But yeah, just listening to Steve Pond is generally a good rule of thumb for everybody. That'll do it for me, the Movie Press, this week. Umberto, thank you for joining us. Where can
Thank
the good
you.
folks find you?
At El Mayimbe on Twitter, therap.com, and at Umberto Gonzalez on Instagram.
And check out Heroic Hollywood.
HeroicHollywood.com.
Yeah, baby.
Anybody with a Facebook Connect at Facebook Media, please get in touch with me. I'm going to offer a reward at this point.
I may take you up on it.
Oh, man.
You
Simon.
fucking nerd. You can find me at Showbiz Simon on Instagram and Twitter. And the Facebook page is This is Simon Thompson. And check out my stuff on Forbes, including a hot scoop with Heather Graham.
And if you guys want to email Simon, it's dungeonmaster69@gmail.com.
And yours is athlete buff at fatass.com.
Jeff Sneider, your editor-in-chief of the Tracking Board, tracking-board.com, at the Snieder on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching the Popcorn Talk Network. You've just met the Meet the Movie Press. I don't know what I just said there.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, folks.
Peace.
Tell your friends.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.